Am I the a-hole for photographing a wedding like a party when they booked my party package? That's the wedding tax from a vendor's perspective here in real life. All details slightly changed to protect everyone's anonymity. I'm a photographer. About half a year ago, a couple booked my informal party package for their event. It's my cheapest package, with my most expensive one being my wedding package. They were kind of dodgy about what kind of party it was, which was strange, but money is money, so I agreed. Yet, no, it's gonna be a family reunion, 12th birthday party, dress-up day. If people look fancy when you get there, don't be surprised. It's just families coming together. The event was a couple weeks ago. As I pulled up to the venue, lo and behold, people are there in suits and dresses, and there's wedding decor everywhere. Oh boy. So I get in, and the bride and her mother intercept me. They immediately start ranting and berating me about how unprofessional I am for not being 2 hours early. And for wearing a polo shirt and cargo shorts to a wedding. I basically told them that they would stop taking that tone with me or I'd leave. Two bridesmaids intervene and basically herd the two women away from me and try to talk them down, while a third one takes over giving me S for how I showed up. But the ceremony was about to start, so she left. Okay, thank you so much. At this point, I was pissed off, but then again, I already drove there and I wasn't told to leave, so I decided to stick through with it. A few more people approached me to give me crap, but I told them to F off, and I'd only take criticism from the people footing my bill, i.e. the groom and the bride. But you're not even taking it's not criticism. Okay. The couple apparently decided that having any photos at all was the worth ignoring me. Just a quick spell check every once in a while, guys. Can be very helpful. Signed, everyone who's trying to do reactionary content on the internet. And the only person who coordinated throughout the event was the groom's father, who managed to act civil. Now I'm done editing and contacted the clients with my bill, but they and some of their friends have contacted asking for a discount because of how inappropriate I was. I don't see their point, but my fiance suggested I could give them some symbolic victory like 5% off because they may not have been able to afford my full wedding package. So, am I the a-hole? Okay, hold on. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Jamie Wolfer. I'm your online wedding planner, and this is the wedding tax. Okay, here's the idea. The idea is that if you say the word wedding, you will automatically get charged more. It's like saying Macbeth in a theater. The second that comes out of your mouth, terrible things will happen. The worst of all things, you will be upcharged up the wazoo. I've been planning weddings for about 10 years now. Okay. And in the beginning, this idea of the wedding tax used to really grate on me because I just was like, everyone I worked with was all these small business owners, right? It was like a single mom with twins, trying to put her kids through college. And she ran a baking business, or a photographer just trying to pay off their student loans. It wasn't someone who was like, where I'm going to go to get super, super rich? I'm going to go run weddings. I'm going to go do events and make as much money as physically possible because that's what I can do. Because the second they say that word, I can charge them whatever I want to. Now, spending a little more time in this industry, definitely I will tell you the more luxury end of things versus the budget end of things. I mean, like a cake is still a cake. Listen, you can buy a cake from Costco. Okay? Sheet cake. Most people are going to love it. They're not even going to care. Right? In fact, for some reason, TikTok is flipping out, realizing that Costco sheet cakes are a thing, even though they have been a budget wedding staple for, as long as I've been in the business. But you go off, girly pops, on TikTok. You definitely found something brand new. Good job. You can get a cake from Costco, and you can get a cake from your baker down the street. You can also get a cake from a wedding cake designer. Which one do you think is going to be the most expensive? Probably the one that says wedding cake designer in the name. Because what we're looking at here effectively is cakes across the board, right? Costco, someone probably making somewhere north of minimum wage, is putting together a cake based on what you wrote on a tiny little form, using a standardized recipe and having it sit in a cooler box for you to pick up on your date of choice. Your local baker may carve out a little space in their cooler box or whatever it is, might take a meeting with you, offer a cake tasting, offer a couple selections for you to pick from, and then you can come pick it up on your day of choice. A wedding cake designer, you will probably meet with multiple times. You will have a custom design created for you, and more likely than not, they will deliver it for you and set it up for you at your event. At any cake topper that you have or florals, etc., you're getting a lot more time and a lot more attention from that wedding cake designer than you are from your neighborhood bakery or than you are from your Costco bakery. Which, not to mention, wedding cake designers have to be extra meticulous about things, even coming down to simplicity of temperature and making sure the buttercream has been in the fridge for a certain amount of time so it doesn't melt when it gets on site if you have an outdoor wedding. Costco's not going to care. Costco says, I don't care if your wedding's inside or outside or if this is a kid's birthday party, if you just bought this cake because you're having a wild Friday night by yourself. A cake is a cake is a cake to Costco. You are not getting the same level of service across the board. So yes, a cake is a cake, but obviously we're getting a different user experience and arguably a different level of product at the very end based on the bakery we pick. And if you went to the wedding cake designer asking for Costco cake prices, you would be laughed out of the building. It's if that's what you want, go to a place that offers that. And that's my personal take on the wedding tax, okay? I love and support budget weddings. We didn't even have $10,000 for my wedding when we got married. So like I have such a heart for budget couples. Small budgets don't scare me. Getting scrappy with our ideas, that's something that we love to do here. But what we don't do is we don't lie to our vendors about it. Now, some of you might be saying, well, Jamie, a photographer is a photographer. All they had to do was come do the clicky thingy. And, you know, maybe if they dress differently, it would be a non-issue, right? Like, okay, the polo and cargo pants, like probably not the greatest, but it wouldn't be an issue altogether because we're not going to different cake designers. We're going to the same person for the same service, clicky, photo, here you go. And to that I say, absolutely not. The photographer was berated for not knowing to show up 2 hours early to a normal party. A photographer showing up 2 hours early to your basic run-of-the-mill party is not normal. They don't do that. That'd be weird. That'd be uncomfortable. That would be unwelcomed socially. A photographer showing up 2 hours before your ceremony start time is an industry standard. And now we're talking about 2 more hours worth of work. So automatically we're adding a couple of hours onto the package because that's what they do as wedding photographers. They get there early to capture all of those getting ready details, first look, maybe family photos, wedding party photos beforehand. They're doing more work day of. The more hours they're photographing, the more photos they're taking, which means they have more editing to do afterwards. More culling of photos, more editing of photos, more picking out the picture perfect ones, more. In addition to that, there's typically meetings that happen beforehand, whether over the phone or via Zoom or in person, as well as engagement photos, so you get to know your photographer. All of those are typically included in the wedding photo package. So you can not only build a relationship with your photographer, but potentially get another photo shoot out of it for your engagement photo shoot and run through all the details of your big day, like when is the ceremony starting? What time does the photographer need to be there? What are some important photos to you that you need captured? What's your family photo list? And all the other administrative details that a photographer is going to go through with you to make sure they're capturing exactly what you want and need captured on your wedding day, at least to the best of their ability. There's a chance that their wedding package also comes with a second shooter, so don't have to worry about getting both all the detail photos and the family photos during cocktail hour when no one's in the reception space yet, where you can finally capture all those beautiful centerpieces and candles and your reception space all lit up, as well as someone else taking your family photos and your wedding party photos and your couple portraits. If it's a solo photographer, it's difficult, if not nigh on impossible, to accomplish all of those tasks in a singular cocktail hour, and that's why, again, you'll see a higher price tag when it comes to a wedding photography package. And the last point I'm going to make about this before we move on to the comments, because like obviously I get raw spicy about this in general, is the mental load that is required for a party versus a wedding, or two completely different things, two totally different things. It'd be like someone saying, hey, can you come babysit my kids? Yeah, how many kids do you have? I have 3, and you show up and there are 30. You say, this is not what I planned. You said you have 3 kids. I do, but I didn't say that they were going to be the only ones there. So have fun. No, not the same thing. Photographing a party while people are walking around smiling, throwing their arms around each other, and possibly enjoying some canapes is very different from structuring family photos and trying to organize drunk groomsmen, or find your Uncle Jim who went off to the bar who's absolutely needed for this family photo that you can't find anywhere, but you don't have a list of family photos because you were never given one because you didn't have the opportunity to have administrative meetings with your clients. And the last administrative tidbit is probably quite the doozy, which is my guess is they didn't hire a coordinator either, especially because specifically in the text, the OP said that the father of the groom was organizing everything. So when you do not have a coordinator, coordination falls on your photographer and or your DJ. It's super common, not because it's their job, but because their craft depends on it. They have to have some sort of timeline to abide by to make sure they're getting all the photos captured, or the DJ to make sure they're hitting all the proper songs, all the perfunctory things like parent dances, first dance, cake cutting, etc. There has to be a semblance of a timeline for them to follow. So naturally it falls on those 2 vendors to make that happen. If a photographer is coming into a situation thinking this is just a casual get together, I'm just taking some photos, and then all of a sudden becomes the conductor of the entire orchestra, those are 2 very different things, the latter of which requires a decent amount of administrative work to pull off effectively. Okay, anyways, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And honestly, weddings are a lot. And I guarantee you, photographing a party versus photographing a wedding have two very different emotional weights attached to them. And a photographer is well within their rights to adjust their pricing as they see fit for the services that they provide. Now, generally speaking, for me, I have an hourly rate that I charge for. Whether I'm helping someone plan an elopement or a large-scale event, whether it's private or corporate, I tend to have pretty basic numbers to make the math easier on myself. And I can tell you with full assurity, I work so much longer on weddings than I do for corporate events or for an engagement party or for a birthday party. They're not even in the same stratosphere. So if someone were to compare a wedding planning package versus a party package, which I don't even normally offer those, they would look like drastically different numbers because they're drastically different events. Anyways, you can disagree with me. Like, I don't care. I care. I care deeply. I just obviously care a lot about the subject. If you don't like the price, don't pay for it. There's absolutely someone else that you can find at a cheaper rate. If you don't want to pay their wedding package, don't pay their wedding package, but don't get mad when you get these services that you request. That's it. The service that you request. I'm not even playing that game of like you get what you pay for, okay? What I'm saying is don't get mad when you get the services that you request. Because you went through all those packages and went, I'll go for that one. I'll go for that one. That one sounds great. And that's what you got. But enough of my ranting. Let's go to the comment section because a lot of times Reddit disagrees with me on this stuff. So let's see where we land. Not the a-hole. They paid for regular party shots. That's what they were receiving. If they wanted the wedding photo treatment, they should have paid extra for the wedding package. This is when you get what you pay for is an important thing to remember. Yeah, I wouldn't play this game and just call them out. Look, we all know what happened here. You lied about the event to book my cheapest package. I was told it was an informal party, so that's how I dressed and conducted myself. There will be no discount. If you had been upfront with me, then we could have at least determined if something could have been worked out. This, all over this. If you can't afford it, let the photographer know. Be like, hey, I noticed that you have a lower package. We are having a wedding. Can we use that package for our wedding? And then the photographer can explain to you, here is why the wedding package exists. Here's what exists within that package. Let's see if we can remove some of those line items to make it more affordable for you, but still get you the level of service that you're looking for. Because what we have here with this couple is that like the expectation versus reality was like not vibing at all. If it truly had been a more casual wedding, the couple only wanted a few hours of coverage, OP might have been able to work with them on a different package. We had a COVID split wedding, so our second wedding was really just a big party. We did have a couple of traditional moments, first dance, procession, we wanted captured, but no portrait. We were upfront about what our event was and what we were looking for, and our photographer gave us a rate between his party and wedding rates. Boom! Look at that. It's almost like if you're just honest with people, it's not a problem. And also, if you don't think that your photographer is being honest with you and you think they're trying to swindle you, don't book with them. Like, ew. Because we're not condoning that. We're not condoning getting steamrolled by your vendors just because they're professionals, okay? That's not what we're saying. All I'm saying is, like, don't lead with lying and watch what happens. What a novelty. OP is not the a-hole. He showed up prepared for what he was told the job was. Agreed. I would go even further and say, had they been honest and said, we can't afford the wedding package, but liked his work, blah, 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 and asked about booking a cheaper package and receiving a reduced service. Yeah, absolutely. Certainly, photographer could decline, but I say there is a fair shot that a photographer is willing to work with them. But OP, not the a-hole they lied to. Then when you decided to work for them, they berated you. Don't discount on anything. I would charge them more. I wouldn't charge them more, personally. It would be a really difficult thing to pursue. I would deliver the images in such a way that I could sleep well at night. I would edit the ones that needed editing. I would call out the ones that needed culling and still deliver a product that I could be proud of. Absolutely. As a photographer myself, I would have normally charged well over $1,000 for a wedding, but was more than willing to lower my prices. Wait, $1,000 for a wedding? This is 3 years ago? What are you doing? Oh, sorry, that's really inexpensive. Okay. Sorry. Here I am being like, I'll help you save money. Being like, $1,000, that's it? You could do more, Boo Bear. Listen, it's like I said, it's nuanced, okay? You could definitely find a photographer for $1,000. But this tells me that this person's probably new. Usually when you're new to the industry, your numbers are quite a bit lower. If you've been in it for a while, that means you're really good at it and you're really good at making people feel good on their wedding day. You're really good at delivering some bomb galleries. So usually, as you hone your skill, your cost increases. But was more than willing to lower my prices to help with the budget of someone who was kind enough to want to hire me and give me their budget upfront to see if that would work for me. Hopefully OP drew up a contract. Personally, I wouldn't charge them more unless it goes to small claims court. Then I'd ask for the full wedding costs. But really, anything before before that. I just want my money to get you out of my life as soon as possible. Agreed. And also as a vendor, I would not be showing up on a wedding day without being paid fully. I did that once and then had to sit around for 45 minutes after the event was over, waiting for someone to come back with a checkbook. And then from then on out, I was like, no, we're getting all payment before the day of, because watching that bride just sit there awkwardly, well, she didn't stay with me the whole time, but like she definitely felt uncomfortable around me being like, oh, she's still here because we haven't paid her yet. And that was like the end of her evening. It's like every time she made eye contact with me, she felt a little sick to her stomach. And I don't want my face to invoke those feelings for anyone ever, especially not a bride on her wedding day. So we require all payment be made in advance. I see two options here. One, charge them for the party package because that's what you did. Yeah. 2, charge them for the wedding package, but take off 5% for treating it like a party, not the a-hole. Yeah, the second one's dumb. Don't do that. 3, withhold photos until they agree to the wedding price. No, don't do that. Don't do that. That's just going to get complicated and sticky and gross. I mean, I hope there's a contract in place for this. And this, if OP was my friend in the situation, I'd be like, you need to add this into your contract. Like, you need to have a contract with every single party that you work with, every single group that you work with, that says, if we show up and we are not equipped to perform the services, like if we show up thinking it's a family photo shoot and it's a wedding, we require additional administrative work, equipment, and personnel to successfully pull off a wedding date. So this contract and deposit should be considered a forfeit should we show up and find ourselves in a different sort of setting. Something along those. I'm not a lawyer, okay? I'm just a wedding planner who makes YouTube videos. Like, calm down if I didn't use the correct language. But this idea of like, this is a great learning experience for this photographer. This will likely never happen to them ever again. They're going to ask better questions. They're going to have a better contract and put together better proposals moving forward. All of us in the industry have been spanked a couple of times because we didn't have the administrative skill set to understand what we might have to navigate in the field. And we make adjustments and we shift and we change as we grow. And this will be one of those opportunities. But withholding photos from people who paid you for those photos is not, it's not a great look. They had a wedding and hired a wedding photographer, and they thought they could pull a fast one on OP by saying it was just a party. That, with the fact that they were rude, gives them no leeway in my book. Yeah, that's not great. They didn't receive the wedding package, though, which is why they were upset. OP dressed in casual clothes, etc. Which is, of course, completely out of line for them to be upset about, considering they booked the party package. But that does also mean that they should only be charged for the party package, which is what they received. Agreed. The additional cost for wedding photos isn't just on the merit of it being a wedding. It's because of the additional time, preparation, and effort that goes into shooting a wedding. If OP gave them what they asked for, which was the party package, then that's what they should be charged for, no matter how messed up it was for them to lie and get mad at OP for it. Agreed. Give them the service they paid for. Deliver those photos. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that you can sleep well at night and use this as a learning opportunity moving forward. This is not a hill I would die on. This makes a great Reddit rant post. This does not make a good small claims court case. I think it's fine to hire the party package for a wedding under very strict conditions. 1, you don't expect wedding attire or formality. 2, you don't expect all the pre-game photos that often come with a wedding package, bride, groom, wedding party, getting ready, etc. 3, you only expect party-type pics, candids, maybe some table poses, but no bride and groom shots or posed groupings. Basically, if you pay for the party package, you get the service and the product you would expect at a party. Clearly, the clients in this case violated every one of those above conditions. The attitude and rudeness is inexcusable, and I definitely think OP should stick to their guns. Oh, and be upfront about what it is you're doing and expecting, and make sure the photographer is on board. Not gonna lie, you could try that. Wouldn't recommend. Would not highly recommend that one. Because you're probably gonna get a photographer that goes, so you want me to wear whatever I want in a professional capacity at a wedding? Okay, so I can show up in cargo shorts. Cool, I'll charge less for that because people are gonna know they only pay me for the party package. So the cargo shorts are totally admissible. So anytime someone sees my name attached to your wedding photos, they're gonna go, that's the person who showed up in cargo shorts at a wedding. Great. Nope. And only take candids. No standard photos. Okay, that really hurts my professional integrity. I don't want to be doing that. And show up right when the ceremony starts. I'm not comfortable doing that. I like to show up early, plug in my batteries, make sure I have everything good to go, check in with the coordinator, the venue coordinator, check in with the couple, say my hellos, make sure I know where to put my tripod if I have one with me. I need more time to be prepared for the seriousness of a wedding versus candid photos at a party. That's very likely going to be the response that you get from the photographer. But you could try. You could try. Hey, can you charge us for the party package? Wear whatever you want and show up kind of, whenever, vibes. And then just take photos of whatever. Okay? And we'll be sure to tell all our family members and friends that the person in the flip-flops who didn't take a singular post photo, showed up late and left early, gave us a good discount. Yeah, that's going to be good for branding and marketing purposes. Yep, a lot of people think of the wedding industry as some giant, greedy, profit-gobbling monolith and feel just fine about trying to scam their wedding vendors. They fail to take into account that, while there are corporations working in this space, the vast majority of service providers are very small solo proprietor businesses operating on razor-thin margins. And wedding photographers really only have limited windows of time they can earn their money. Summer weekends are incredibly valuable. There's really just about 15 weekends during prime wedding season. I would argue against that, but that really leaves maybe 20 potential working days tops. If you lie to a photographer by booking them for a party when you're really getting married, you're double scamming them, cheating them out of their actual base rate and using up a day they could have been earning their actual wedding rate. Yeah, but OP said money is money. Like, this might have been a last minute booking and they're like, listen, I'll take it because I don't have anything else to fill that date. So I wouldn't necessarily die specifically on that hill, but a lot of the merits of this I agree with. Oh, absolutely. Plus, doing a wedding right usually involves mapping out a run of show in advance with the couple and hiring a second shooter and an assistant to ensure that all the essential shots, both faces during vows, the ceremonial kiss, the first dance, etc., are captured and captured well. The couple here really put OP in a horrible position of having to choose between delivering subpar services, party level photography for a wedding, or doing a lot of extra work uncompensated. Ooh. The couple here really put OP in a horrible position of having to choose between delivering subpar services or doing a lot of extra work uncompensated. I said this lower down on the thread too, but OP really should have just left and refunded the couple when they first showed up and realized the situation. I often hear the term "not your client" thrown around among freelance creatives, referring to the idea that someone who doesn't respect your time and is trying to scam you is fundamentally not your client, i.e. not someone who will ever be worth your time and effort to engage with. As soon as someone reveals themselves to be not your client, the idea is that it's a fruitless waste of energy to continue to try to work with them. This is the perfect example. This couple were never going to be reasonable people to work with, and OP knew that as soon as they showed up and realized what was going on. And people only see the time at the event, but every hour I spend shooting, I spend another 2 to 5 hours editing, depending on the type of event and type of photo, portrait, candid, etc. I'm not a pro and avoid doing weddings, so some pros might be faster than me / have more things automated, but it's still a huge time requirement that needs to be accounted for. Also, the average rate of $3,000 for 20 gigs is only $60,000 before any of the overhead, so it's not like these people are getting rich off of it. God, this reminds me why I stopped photography for money. I remember I took on an engagement shoot for a buddy, agreed with the client for a 1-hour shoot, fixed number of shots, etc., etc. The bride was an hour late. Okay, weather was bad. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Then she needed to get ready. Don't worry, we will pay the extra. Had to shoot the whole dang family. 4 hours later, I left. I put my hours together. Thinking I was being nice, I told my buddy, look, I was there 4 hours, but I only charged for 3 as the weather was bad. Fair, right? Nope. Then they claimed they didn't say they would pay any extra for me to stay. Then they wanted a discount. Then they wanted to see the photos before they would pay. Buddy sent them a contact sheet of all my keep pile and told them to pick the ones that they wanted. What does that, okay, what are you saying? But if you have all these photos of us, you should give us them all for the price. What? Okay. I can't read this. Can you send me the high-res ones of this one before I pay, as I want to see if it looks as good as I think it is? They already had the low-res up as their profile pic on all socials. Can we see the low-res without the watermarks? Found out a few months that not long after they finally paid, the happy couple broke up. Oh, okay. Well, that has nothing to do with this. Oh, wait. We've got info from OP. Okay. Definitely not the a-hole. They immediately started ranting and berating me about how professional I am for not being 2 hours early and for wearing a polo shirt and cargo shorts. Sorry, I'm trying to read fast. Was any of this specified in the party contract, start times, end times, etc.? i.e., were you late per a pre-agreed time, or were you on time per normal practice for a party contract? Was dress code even mentioned? Any kind of reference to the formality of the event? Did you tell people you were told it was only a party and were acting accordingly? OP said, I was told the party starts at 4. I was there 20-ish minutes early. I was told by them, quote, professionals are at least 2 hours early to set up. Not for a party, because you don't have that much stuff to set up for a party. You don't have multiple cameras or lenses or memory cards or batteries. Was dress code mentioned? Nothing explicit, because they kept dodging my questions about what sort of party it actually was. Oh. Did you tell people you were told it was only a party and acted accordingly? After everything started, I just shut down anyone trying to discuss it with me at all, because I'm there to take photos and discuss my contract history with people. What? Not to. Okay. So here OP is like, I've been trying to get information out of these people and they're not sharing anything with me. I don't even know what I'm supposed to wear. So I'm just going to show up. I mean, I personally would never wear cargo shorts to a paid event ever, but what do I know? So it's not like OP didn't try. Anyways, okay, here's how we can save money on your wedding that does not involve lying. DIYing things, your centerpieces, your invitation. Yes, this comes with time. Yes, this comes with effort. Yes, this comes up with space in your apartment or in your home where you're going to store all these DIYs. And yes, this may mean staying up until 2 a.m. trying to figure out how to reflex a rose perfectly. Okay, there are certain trade-offs that we get with this, but you either spend the time or you spend the money. So DIY is a great way of doing that. 2, having a very open and honest communication flow between you and your vendors. Here's what our budget is. If you do not know or do not have a budget, I highly recommend you put one together. I have a whole budget spreadsheet in the master plan. I'm gonna go ahead and link it right up there for you to check out, where I teach you how to take your money from savings, from family members, from monthly contributions, and make your budget work for you using proven budget breakdowns to make sure you hit all the categories that you need to hit with the budget that you have. If you find yourself running into dead end after dead end, look outside the wedding professional category. You can go on Craigslist, you can go on Thumbtack, you can go find a photography student from your local university. Please bear in mind that you are not hiring a wedding photographer, you're hiring a photographer for your wedding, and those are 2 different things. Again, make sure you're honest, make sure you're not lying about it. Be upfront about it and allow the other person to say yes or no to that commitment. But let's be real here. The couple wasn't looking to save as much money as possible, because if they wanted to, there are plenty of other opportunities made available to them. They were looking to get wedding photography services for a fraction of the price, which is why they got frustrated with the photographer for not being there early and for not wearing the appropriate attire, even though they evaded questions left and right throughout the entire planning process when the photographer was trying to clarify. They wanted wedding photos, but they didn't want to pay for wedding photos. All I'm saying is there's plenty of ways to plan a budget wedding while still keeping your integrity intact. And if you subscribe to this channel, which you should, I promise you, I'll show you how to do that. You can absolutely have a beautiful wedding day regardless of where your budget lands. We just need to get a little crafty with it, a little creative. And sometimes that means adjusting our budget and or our expectations and or our time commitment when it comes to planning your wedding. So that's what we have for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. How about you? What are your thoughts on the wedding tax? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, love hearing from you guys. If you haven't done so already, jump on down there, like the video if you like the video, and subscribe to this channel for more tips and tricks for the modern day bride, especially those on a budget, because I'll teach you how to do it without lying. What a novel idea. And until next week, bye guys.